Iran has urgently requested talks with the United States about the nuclear deal, and its president has called for immediate contact with the Americans, after the United States deployed a truly massive armada of ships and aircraft to the region. But here, an interesting coincidence also occurred. On January 30, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, urgently arrived in Moscow to meet with Vladimir Putin and request military assistance amid the real preparations by the United States for an attack. But on the same day, the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Lavrov, stated that while they certainly value the strategic partnership agreement with Iran, they would not get involved in a war on Iran's side. Therefore, Moscow is offering Tehran its mediation services for negotiations with the Americans. The Pentagon boasted about the number of ships and aircraft already stationed at Iran's borders, ready to strike. Then, a miracle happened. The Iranians requested direct talks in order to, as they put it, reduce tensions. My name is Alexei Pechi. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave any comment under this episode. And if you want to support the work of our YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation. Use the links and details in this video's description. There's also a link to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. Subscribe there too. So, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, stated that Iran has been holding very serious negotiations with Washington in recent days, hinting at the possibility of a deal that would allow strikes on the Republic to be avoided. Quote from Trump: "Iran is negotiating with us, and we'll see if we can do something. We have a large fleet headed there. They are negotiating." He added that United States allies are not informed about possible strike plans for security reasons, and here is another quote: "If I told them about the plans, it would be almost as bad as telling you, the journalists. In fact, it could even be worse. Iran must reach a satisfactory deal that will prevent the country from developing nuclear weapons." Amid this, a naval strike group led by the United States ship Abraham Lincoln was sent to Iran's shores, along with many aircraft. And today on my Telegram channel Pechi News, I published this specific infographic that you can see on the screen right now. And on it you can see that the United States has already sent C-17 C-5M and C-130 transport planes to the Middle East region, as well as up to 20 KC-135 and KC-46 tankers, E-11A communication aircraft, reconnaissance 135 reconnaissance planes, and search and rescue aircraft. F-35A and EA-18G aircraft are on the front lines, while F-15 and EA-10C operated there previously. In addition to this, the United States Navy has concentrated the aircraft carrier group United States S. Abraham Lincoln with Arleigh Burke-class destroyers in the Arabian Sea. Additionally, American destroyers are present in the Amman, Persian, and Aqaba Gulfs, as well as in the Mediterranean Sea. The United States ship Georgia nuclear submarine is also in the area. Well, in short, the Armada is really serious. As you can see on the map, American forces are deployed from every possible direction, and it is reported that this entire Armada is already taking up combat positions in Belarus. At the same time, it is reported that Donald Trump wants to carry out a swift and decisive operation against the Iranian Ayatollah regime, which would not lead to a prolonged war in the region. This is said to be a request from Saudi Arabia. He has ordered his aides to develop an invasion plan. And, according to Trump's plan, such an attack should deal a strong enough blow to the Islamic Republic so that it would make concessions to the United States and abandon the development of nuclear weapons, as well as stop persecuting protesters. According to sources speaking to the Wall Street Journal, among the options being discussed is the so-called Big Plan, developed by the White House and the Pentagon, which involves a series of powerful bombings of regime targets and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And there is a less large-scale option: strikes on symbolic targets of the Islamic Republic. This would leave the possibility of escalating attacks if Iran refuses to agree to a deal that satisfies Donald Trump. They bombed a bit at first, saw no concessions, bombed again, and so on. Rhetorically, the Iranians are still puffing up their cheeks. For example, Iran's foreign ministry head Abbas Araghchi said talks with Washington are only possible if the United States promises never to attack Iran again. The supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, warned that if the United States strikes, a regional war will begin. Khamenei's advisor, Ali Shamkhani, stated that Iran's armed forces are ready to act on a broader front, hinting that they could start a massive war all at once. Iran is a fun fact. In response to the European Union's decision to recognize the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization, Iran itself declared all armed forces of the European Union countries as terrorist groups. They called us terrorists, but you're the same, while some are shouting about how cool they are. At the same time, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian ordered the Iranian government to immediately start nuclear negotiations and further talks with the United States to reduce tensions in the Middle East. And now it's being reported that the United States and Iran will meet on Friday in Istanbul to resume nuclear negotiations. This is the first direct contact since the failed talks and last year's 12-day war. Now India is involved. This is a very interesting episode that explains why Iran agreed to resume negotiations. It turned out that on January 30, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, urgently flew to Moscow to meet with Vladimir Putin. The purpose of the visit was to secure the Kremlin's support in the event of a war with the United States of America. While the meeting's details were not officially disclosed, Iran's ambassador to Russia, Kazem Jalali, said the main topics were key regional and international issues and expanding bilateral cooperation. But in fact, sources say that Larijani asked Putin, saying, "Please, we're being attacked, you're our ally, we've signed a strategic partnership document, so help us. We helped you in the war against Ukraine, we sent you Shaheds missiles, we gave you technology, so will you help us somehow at all?" But in the end, Larijani left Moscow empty-handed, and as soon as he returned to Tehran, Iranian President Pezeshkian urgently called on the government to prepare for negotiations with the Americans. Although, it should be admitted that the Russians didn't leave Iran without help, but they don't abandon their own, you remember that, right? The head of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Lavrov, stated that Russia is ready to offer its good offices to reduce tensions between Iran and Israel, just like in 2015 when Moscow played, as he put it, a key role in reaching the agreement on Tehran's nuclear program. Well, Lavrov made it clear that they're ready to help in words, but in practice, of course, they won't get involved. Why would they? Do we need to fight with the Americans? But in words, of course, we're totally on your side. And now I'll quote Lavrov. "Since we have good relations with both Israel and Iran, we constantly offer our good services whenever it's necessary to ease the situation. So, more than 10 years ago, in 2015, Russia played a key role in reaching the agreement on the Iranian nuclear program, including by transporting to our country the surplus enriched uranium that exceeded the amount agreed upon for the Islamic Republic. Now we are ready to do something similar, and the Israelis, Iranians, and Americans know about this." Well, that's what strategic partners look like when it comes to Russia. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like if you want to support the channel's work. You already know that all the links and details are in the description for this video. I would appreciate any support from you. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.